Welcome back, my friends. We are on to task 12, define team ground rules. So let's take a look at what the PMI has for us here. We've got 3 enablers for defining team ground rules. 1, communicate organizational principles with team and external stakeholders. 2, establish an environment that fosters adherence to the ground rules. And 3, we have manage and rectify ground rule violations. And in the old task breakdown, we have manage the flow of information by following the communications plan in order to keep stakeholders engaged and informed. And then we have acquire and manage project resources. So it's almost comedic when we look at this breakdown because we know that there's so much more to what is being discussed, but it's all wrapped up in just 2 processes: manage communications and manage team, pretty much, or acquire team. Let's say 3. But there's a lot more to it. And it's all about the soft stuff, the soft skills. So define the ground rules. This actually happens in 2 places. We do this as part of plan resource management. We also talk about this in manage stakeholder engagement. So I'm not sure if you guys remember all this. Let me not take it for granted. Let me actually open it up and show you. So the very first place we talk about ground rules is in the team charter in 9.1. So let's go to the outputs of plan resource management. And here on page 320, team charter. The team charter is a document that establishes the team values, agreements, and operating guidelines for the team. The team charter may include, but is not limited to, team values, communication guidelines, decision-making criteria and process, conflict resolution process, meeting guidelines, and team agreements. So when we talk about team contract, we're really talking about these team agreements, do's and don'ts. It says the team charter, flipping the page over, establishes clear expectations regarding acceptable behavior by project team members. Early commitment to clear guidelines decreases misunderstandings and increases productivity. Discussing areas such as codes of conduct, communication, decision-making, and meeting etiquette allows team members to discover values that are important to one another. The team charter works best when the team develops it, or at least has an opportunity to contribute to it. All project team members share responsibility for ensuring the rules documented in the team charter are followed. The team charter can be reviewed and updated periodically to ensure a continued understanding of the team. There's the magic word, ground rules. Ground rules, and to orient and integrate new team members. And that's one place that we can see ground rules. The second place of significance is in 13.3, and it's on page 528. And this is with regards to manage stakeholder engagement. It says ground rules defined in the team charter set the expected behavior for the project team members as well as other stakeholders with regard to stakeholder engagement. So basically, team contract, do's and don'ts, what you can do, what you can't do. This is really what the PMI is alluding to here. All right, so that's the breakdown of the task, and here are the details. Define team ground rules. Communicate organizational principles with team and external stakeholders. Establish an environment that fosters adherence to the ground rules. Manage and rectify ground rule violations. Ground rules defined in the team charter set the expected behavior for project team members as well as other stakeholders with regard to stakeholder engagement. Quoting from the PMP Guide. Let's talk about communicate organizational principles with team and external stakeholders. High standards should be visible, transparent, and ingrained in organizational DNA, said Skip Richards. So I want to bring this stuff to the surface. We don't want to keep it hidden. A team that I once trained in an Ivy League school, Yale, in the hospital, right there in the middle of my training, they called someone out and said, that's $5. I'm like, $5 for what? Because they were distracted? No, Phil, they used a bad word. The team charter says any bad word is $5 in the swear jar. Oh, it's a ground rule. You got to obey it. So establish an environment that fosters adherence to the ground rules. And the person who did it just laughed and, used another word that would have cost him another $5. I'll put the $5 in the jar. It's all about governance. It's all about adherence to those ground rules. We also want to manage and rectify any ground rule violations. If someone has violated it, the same way they call out that guy, you did something wrong. You got to call out your team members. Otherwise, how are you going to adhere to it? They're just going to continue doing what they shouldn't be doing, like this bird that is in direct violation of the rules. And that, my friends, is pretty much it for defined team ground rules. It's all about communicating these principles, making sure that that environment is fostering the adherence to the ground rule. That's pretty much it in summary. And that's it. Just like that. Better believe it. We're moving on to our next one.